And welcome back to the Financially Simple Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Goodbread, and today we actually are going to answer a listener's question. That's right. I had a question come in and said, hey, Justin, you talk a lot about maximizing the value of your company. And man, I love the information. But how do I measure the value growth improvement? Or he said value maximization improvement. And we're going to try to answer that question because you're right. I do talk a lot about increasing the value of our companies because to me, if we can grow the value of our companies, then we ultimately grow our net worth. But how do you measure it? How do you measure it? Is it an arbitrary process? No, it's not. It's actually a very methodical, very technical process, but it's one that I feel like needs to have at least some content dedicated to that particular question. So let's first start out by what is value growth. Now, we spent episodes, almost years probably on answering this question about value growth. So we realize that when we have a company, it is worth something. Even if you have a website, that you can go and find out what your domain value is on your website of your company. So the company is worth something. Now, maybe very little, but nonetheless, it's worth something. So we start out by doing an appraisal. Now, an appraisal is going to give us some sort of a economic number of what we theoretically could have a value of our company. Now, just like real estate, just because the realtor says that your house is worth $250,000 or $500,000 doesn't mean a willful buyer is going to pay you $250,000 or $500,000 for your piece of real estate. It just means that based on comparables within that industry, or within your neighborhood, that your house is worth X. The same is true with your business. So if we're going to begin a process, we have to know what the business is roughly worth. What's it roughly worth? And there's several different valuation softwares out there. You can go online and do a DIY one and pay $1,500 and get a valuation that's really close to maybe what your business is worth. As I mentioned in previous episodes, you can go through a trade convention. Many times we go to trade conventions and people will say, hey, I have this type of company in this particular SIC code or NAIC code, and my industry peers said they're selling it between 3 or 4 times EBIT, or 70 to 80% of trailing 12-month collections. So you can kind of have a back of the napkin idea on what the company's worth. But that doesn't help us determine what it is worth after all the hard work we put into our company. So the way I like to approach things and the way we approach things through our company is we begin with an assessment that dives into either 256 points of questioning or 54 points of questioning. Depends on the size, the type, all these type of whatever your type of company is. But we want to dive in and look at a very detailed X-ray. Whenever I went to the dentist as a kid, they used to use film X-ray. Now everything's digital. And he would take a side shot. They call it bite wing X-rays of my teeth. And you could see one viewpoint of my teeth. Now, they use these things called cone beams, which gives you a 3-dimensional view of your face. They went from the side view to a Panorex, which took your whole face and flattened it out. Now they have 3-dimensional X-rays. They can see every part of my mouth, my entire bone structure, a lot of different structures within my mouth with that type of detailed X-ray. That's the view I want you to have when you're going through a typical value growth process. We want to look at the details. We don't want to see that 2-dimensional X-ray. We want to see the company from every angle. We want to know the pros. We want to know the cons. We want to see all the hidden skeletons in the closet. We want to see the areas of the business which are just superstar effect. So when we start with an assessed value and we can see the entire makings and workings of the company through either 256 points of reference or 54 points of reference, we have a pretty good understanding of where we're going to go strengthen. What areas are weak and what are areas we need to strengthen and pour our resources into. Now, you've heard me talk about the types of capital, the intangible assets of the company, and we want to strengthen these 4 types of capital. You've heard me talk about this. I actually wrote about it in my first book, The Ultimate Sale, and in the second book, it actually deals a little bit with this. Your Baby's Ugly, and it's going to come out here very soon. But I'm dealing with these 4 types of capital. Now, Chris Snyder actually has a book. He's the person who authored this. He has another book coming out that I'm looking forward to reading and perhaps weighing in on during its creation process. But he outlined 4 types of intangible assets or capital, which I stole. Actually, I asked him for right permission. And I want to give him the credit because it's his think child, but it simplifies business down. What are those 4 types of capital? Well, we start off with the human capital. That is, how strong are the team members within our organization? Can the company run without you, the business owner, present? How strong are those team members? If one of those team members were to leave, do you have replacements underneath them? Are you building depth as far as and breadth within the team? I gave this example not too long ago about the Alabama Crimson Tide. And in the national championship, whenever the quarterback was injured, the backup quarterback, they came in and he won the game still because the backup quarterback was just as capable as the starting quarterback. That is human capital. We also talk about structural capital. That's the operational efficiency of a company. That's making sure that 16-year-olds don't burn the restaurant down as they're cooking French fries, as McDonald's done. So we talk about structural capital. We talk about customer capital, making sure that customers are well invested within our business, that we have a breadth of customers. We're not isolated within one in particular strong suit, that we don't have customer concentration issues. We deal with customer segregation. I mean, we are talking about customers on a broad level. And then you deal with social capital. Social capital is how your business is perceived within the community at large, within your township, your location to which you're operating. So those are 4 intangible assets. And as we are appraising a business, we can see ultimately of those 4 areas which are the weakest. Now, you know that I like to analyze business as 8 areas. I like to look at leadership and planning and sales and marketing and people operations, finance, and legal. So we may attack within that customer capital. We may deal with marketing to try to build more customer loyalty. We may deal with the operational side for customer loyalty as it relates to quality control. We make our billing the best in class so the customer has an awesome billing and payment experience. That's all part of that customer capital. So as we have a starting point and we're looking at our business through this very detailed x-ray, we know where to invest our time and resources. And then we move into strategic planning and we begin tearing apart our business and making operational moves, and we bust it out. We get our whole team in alignment. We make moves to strengthen those weak areas of our business. And then it comes to the question, how do I measure the value improvement? Well, you repeat the process. The same process to which you begin the measurement, you go back and do the same thing.
None of us are immune to the stresses that come with owning a business. At some point, we've all considered hanging it up and selling. But is your business prepared for a sale? Heritage Business Advisors can help you maximize your business's value through targeted value growth and exit planning. To learn more, visit heritagebusinessadvisors.com.
So if you're going to use 256 points of measuring to see the quality of your business as it relates to the value of your company, and now you see where you're weak in and you try to strengthen those areas of weakness up, and you go back and ask yourself the same 256 questions, you're going to now be able to have the result of that value improvement. You say, well, Justin, I want to DIY this. I don't want to do this with a measuring tool. Well, you could do it in this approach. You could go out and get a true valuation done of your company. See the areas within that valuation to where you feel like you're weak. Maybe it is because you didn't have recurring revenue. And so now you're going to work for a year and try to build a recurring revenue model up. And now you go back and get the exact same valuation process again. And now you have a measuring tool to see what your company has accomplished. But candidly, the true measurement is often seen day to day. I remember in my own personal life, not too long ago, I was running ragged in this business, I had team members who didn't see the bigger vision, and they didn't get it. I was compensating out of loyalty and out of love for these team members. I was compensating for them, burning the candle at both ends. And then I began looking at the team and saying, man, I've got to restructure the company or else I'm going to die. My doctor even told me, if you do not change your life, you will not live to see the age in which your dad lived to. And my dad, as you may know, listened to me for a length of time. He passed away unexpectedly at age 62. Today shocks me that he's gone. Every year during hunting season, it hurts to go into the woods and not have one of my hunting partner with me. I don't want that to happen to my kids. And so I began investing into the company, investing my time, my resources, our team, began teaching, began structuring, began working on that customer capital, that social capital, that structural capital, and that human capital within our company. I knew that I had a weakness in the operations. I knew that I had a weakness in the marketing. I knew I had weakness in finance. Believe it or not, yep, that's me. I had a weakness in some areas. So I had to dive in real hard, and I broke this company down to areas to which I could improve it. Did I do another assessment to find out what the company had grown to? No, I didn't have to. I could feel it. I had more time off. I went home at the end of the day not stressed out of my mind. I wasn't exhausted on the weekends, constantly still wondering about what's happening at the company. Friends, I just got back from a 3-week trip to which I was totally unplugged, and the company grew while I was gone. Do I need to measure in terms of dollar figure the value of my company? No. Now, can I? Absolutely. But do I need to? No, I don't. I can feel it. I can see it. People can see the difference. I've even had clients come in and said, man, you're not as stressed as you were a couple of years ago. What's happened? It's amazing to see what happens when you start investing into the value growth or the value maximization of your company. Now, let's say I did want to quantify that as we do for clients on a regular basis. What will we do? We walk through the exact same process which gave us the original measurement, the original process. Whenever I was in high school, I loved soccer. I was actually really, really, really good at soccer. Could play on many different state traveling teams. Loved soccer. Loved it. I was really fast, really good, quick ball skills. And I can remember a coach who was my youth leader at the time, and he was a basketball coach. Now he's an acclaimed basketball coach within his division. I mean, he's a superstar. But he had us doing this 40-yard dash, and he took a stopwatch out and he said, "Go." And the minute I crossed the line, he started the watch. Now, I didn't run 40 yards as fast as some of the athletes that we see with football, but I didn't run it slow. And what he would do is all year long, he would push us and he would train us. And then he would come back to the 40-yard dash and he'd say, "Go," with the exact same stopwatch. And we see the improvements. Because he knew that by strengthening other parts of our bodies, by pushing us and pulling us in areas, it would actually cause our 40-yard dash to be shortened or to become a quicker time frame. If you're going to strengthen and increase the value of your company, if that's what you're after, you have to dissect the weakest areas. And you have to strengthen those muscles within your company, which is going to ultimately lead to you being able to measure the improvements. So what we do within our company is we start off with a measurement. Then we dissect and we go very deep within the company process, we're actually right now training multiple office managers, training them how to be office managers. And we're seeing, because of just training office managers, that the producers of the company now are freed up and now they can go and produce more. And we're seeing the revenue increase just by that one little thing. And as the revenue increases, then we start dealing with the structural capital and the customer capital and the human capital and the social capital. We're tearing apart these 8 key areas. And as we do so, now we come back and we say, all right, let's run the exact same assessment that you and the client did the first time. What was the increase? You want to do this on your own? Get an appraisal done of your company. Find out the areas of weakness. Hyper-focus on building and strengthen those areas of weakness. I've recorded so many podcasts about how to strengthen all 8 areas of weakness or all 4 areas of weakness. The 8 areas, again, being planning, leadership, marketing, sales, people, operation, finance, and leader, or the 4 areas of intangible assets, which is customer capital, social capital, structural capital, or human capital. You want to focus on either the 8 areas or the 4 areas of your particular business, and as you do so, you're now driving the value of your company up. And you can measure it through the exact same assessment that you originally did to find out where you were weak at. You may even use just a SWOT analysis. And once you get some strength there, you may find other areas of weakness. if you want to formalize it down, there's companies out there like Deal Stats. Deal Stats were formerly Pratt Stats. They would list the best of their ability the known information about the valuation metrics to which companies were selling. We can't control what the world is doing around us and as business owners. We can't control the timing of the appraisal. But what we can control is the valuation of the intangible assets. And we can improve our intangible assets. Not our tangible, but our intangible assets. We can improve those. And in improving our intangible assets, if we can improve those and grow those, then we've ultimately grown the value of our company. So how do you measure it? You go through the exact same process that you use to show your weaknesses to begin with. Exact same process. So I hope that answers this question. I thought it'd be a great opportunity here as we're entering the holiday season of 2020 to kind of start answering a few more of these listener questions. Hey, look, if you have a question for us, reach out to us. You can go to financiallysimple.com/ask Justin. You can go to Ask Justin and can submit a question there. It'll come to me as this listener did, and I'll do the best I can to answer that question if it's one that I feel like everybody needs to have. If it's one that you personally might have a question for, hey, look, we'll get one of our advisors here on the phone with you, and we'll talk through it. We've had a lot of people reach out to us and they said, hey man, Justin, I listen to you on a regular basis. I don't know if you can help me. Can you help me? Look, our team here in the office, they're rock stars. Let me tell you, I was just on the phone with an advisor who's recording a pre-Thanksgiving video trying to get our clients prepared mentally for 2020. You know, we got the holidays coming up. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to mama stuffing and some collard greens. We have all that coming up. And we now have to start thinking about, is 2021 going to be the best year of our businesses? And that's what we want to focus on. So if you have a question, maybe you say, hey, can y'all help us? Reach out to us. Go check it out, financiallysimple.com. Look, I realize life is hard. 2020 has been the apocalyptic year if there ever was one. But life is good. Man, life is good. We are a blessed people. And I'll forever say that. We are a blessed people. Life can be frustrating. It can, but money doesn't have to be. Hey, let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk soon. This tip is for informational purposes only. Please speak with a competent financial advisor regarding your specific needs. Justin Goodbread is a registered investment advisor with Heritage Investors. Visit heritageinvestor.com, financiallysimple.com for additional information.